What's going on today, YouTube? So today we're going to be breaking down Ohio State, the Buckeyes, 2020 predictions, all like that, where I see them at the end of the season. Some of the tougher games in the beginning of the season, just a prediction on that. Also the key losses, how they're going to fill those gaps. So if you like Ohio State football or just football in general, why don't you go ahead and give a subscribe to the channel. If you're new to the channel, of course. Also give me a comment, give me a like, tell me what's up. Give me suggestions for a new video, all like that. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So, Ohio State, to start off, I did have them at number 2 on my top 10 video. If you haven't seen that yet, I suggest you go on to watch it. I'll put a link in the description. But they start off the season pretty soft with Bowling Green. That's their tuner game. Then they have at Oregon the following week, which is one of the bigger games of this season, especially it being at the beginning of the season. So, here is why I believe Ohio State will win this game. Even though it's in Oregon, the Oregon Ducks do play at North Dakota State. We know North Dakota State is the team that destroys FBS teams, as well as FCS teams. They got, 8 championships in a row, something ridiculous out there in North Dakota. I would not put them on my FBS team's schedule. Oregon has to prepare for them for week 1. After that, they have Ohio State. Other problems with Oregon, I'll do a video on Oregon, but just to kind of touch on bases, Oregon loses all of its offensive line except for its stud. So you got to replace 4 linemen. You also have to replace Justin Herbert, the starting quarterback. I don't like that at all. So they're very solid on defense. They do have good skill position players, but in the trenches where it's won, not looking great. Now, on to Ohio State. They, of course, do nothing but turn out defensive linemen. You think of the Bosas, the Chase Youngs of the world. This team is going to continue to be stacked on defense throughout. Not only that, they're looking good in this recruiting class. They had a top 5 recruiting class last year, which included the number 1 wide receiver in the country. Okay. Not only that, but you return Justin Fields, who did finish as a Heisman finalist. Your offensive line is looking very veteranized. You retain upperclassmen except for the right tackle. And tackle that you are using is going to be a stud. So they're looking solid in the trenches for Ohio State as well. Now, don't get me wrong, Oregon does have a great defensive line as well as a great defensive secondary. They will put up a fight in that game, but I just see it going Ohio State's way. On to the next couple games, you got Buffalo and Rutgers. Those should be blowouts. Then you got a bye, and then you got Iowa in Ohio State. So that one, after a bye, after some tuner games, I feel like they can be fired up for that game and just blow out the Hawkeyes. And then you got at Michigan State, which I see Michigan State being terrible this year. New coach, all like that. Don't really have too many great players. They will have a great defensive line as they usually do, but I just don't see them being very competitive in that game. Then on the 24th of October, you have at Penn State. I expect that to be a whiteout game. Not really a flip of the coin game. I feel like Ohio State's the much more talented team. I could see them winning that. Maybe not in a blowout fashion, but definitely going to get the dub there. But don't get me wrong, Penn State has some studs. They have one of the best linebackers in the country in Parsons. My questions are, of course, the skill set and then the quarterback. Not that great, kind of a Jake Fromm type quarterback over there. Just kind of doesn't really win you games, but he's not going to lose you games. Kind of a game manager player, and I think you need a stud to pull off upsets at quarterback. Next, they have Nebraska coming to town on Halloween. So, I feel like Nebraska can improve because they can't get any worse, but they're still not to the level of Ohio State. Then Indiana should be a blowout there. Then you got at Maryland. Now, Maryland has been sneaky good the past couple years, gotten some key wins the past couple years at Texas. So the Terrapins, they can win, but they're not going to against an Ohio State team. They're also in the Caleb Williams hunt, and they just got a 5-star wide receiver, so that's getting kind of interesting. And then the next game is at Illinois. And people forget that Illinois did stud in Wisconsin last season, so maybe a trap game there coming before Michigan. I expect Michigan not to be really a problem. Ohio State should blow through that schedule pretty easily. Now, the defense does raise maybe the most questions. I feel like the offense is solid, except for the running back position. They did get my boy Trey Sermon from Sprayberry. Shout out. The Sermon, the Preacher Man. And then once they do get healthy at running back, it's going to be a staple of running backs. But the defense does raise questions. So they are very experienced at linebacker, and Ohio State is known for the defensive linemen. They got to replace a star cornerback as well, but they do nothing but turn out amazing cornerbacks, amazing defensive linemen. So I think they're pretty set. Definitely to make a national title run. It is between them and Clemson, in my opinion. And then the last thing to just kind of touch on is Zach Harrison. 2019 was one of their worst recruiting classes of late. They did get a stud in Zach Harrison. The defensive end was he's 6'5", 253 coming out of high school. He's put on weight. It's been 2 years. Chase Young kind of came out of nowhere too. People weren't talking about him the season before, and he balled out. I'm just saying, Zach Harrison, kind of the same build. I'm just saying, they do nothing but reload over there at Ohio State. And Harrison had the second most snaps last season. It's time for him to step up. That's what I'm saying. I think Ohio State gets it done, probably against everybody on their schedule, and at least gets the national title, at least gets to the playoffs. I feel like if they run through their schedule, beating Oregon, you're losing that Big Ten championship. You're still getting in. So, they do nothing but turn out studs out there. They're where Oklahoma wants to be with that defense. So, the thing is, between them and Clemson, I'm almost going to Ohio State. I think they have what it takes to win a national championship. I think this is their year to do that. And if they set it up this year, they got a little dynasty going with Ryan Day. They continue to beat Michigan. I think Harbaugh is going to have to get up out of there. So I'll be very interested to see how they perform during the season. They do meet all the preseason expectations. They have been doing a great job recruiting. Like I mentioned, they're number 1 in the 2021 recruiting class. During this dead period, they have balled out. Got Trayvon Henderson, the number 1 running back in the country. They're looking like they could have one of the best classes ever. Ever. That's ridiculous, okay? And Ohio State's already talented. So, doing nothing but building on that. So, very interested to see how they pan out this season. But that's going to be it for me on the Ohio State gig. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment in the comment section who I should do next. Make sure you are subscribed for more content like this. Like I said, go check out that number 10 or top 10 video.